Michelle Rose. Welcome to the Mom Curious podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming on, and thank you for documenting my family as we grow since, I think it's been, is it 4 or is it 5 years?
It could be 5 because it was really early on, like in my process.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was an early day when I did those 15-minute minis in Brooklyn.
I'm always like hawking you to please bring those back. You're like,
know.
No, girl, I've moved past 15 minutes. But I only have 15 minutes in me.
I get it.
I still book you for the full session because you're like the best.
Thank you.
And only the best for us. But 15 minutes were great. Whatever.
I know, but like you had
time.
one of the first ones, and so you just got Ness naked, and
he was naked,
and
he was
ran
naked
around
in public.
Yeah, we were in the backyard of that like play
place.
Center. And by the way, you don't know this, but before you came, the place where we were doing our shoot said to me, Daniela is an actress, so she's kind of important. And so
that's not true.
You were like kind of like very famous for them, and
That's
this was like a big get for me to have you in my minis. Yeah, I don't think you ever knew that, but yeah.
You know what's really weird? I would have never thought that anyone would whisper that about me, literally ever.
But doesn't it feel kind of good to know?
It's so nice to know.
Yeah. I was like, oh, okay, like amazing. And you were so sweet, and like everything was just so fun and different. And you had one of the most different, shoots of everyone else.
He was naked.
And we were outside.
Why did I do that?
Because it was so good. You wanted to get his
really
tushy.
Cute. His tush is really cute.
Yeah.
It's still delish. Are we ever going to document it? Probably not. Those days have come and gone.
I know, but it's so cute. And then you had another baby.
Hazzy poo.
Yeah, and I feel like she might have been like in a diaper. So that was his,
right. Yeah, that's true. She was also naked. Oh my God.
It was a theme. Yeah, we had a tushy picture.
Of her? Oh,
I think so. And I mean, everyone wants Michelle, a tushy picture. It's okay.
Michelle. Oh my gosh, I didn't even know I have like a style. See, like this is what's so crazy. Laura was saying that like, when we look at your photos and your portfolio and your Instagram, your website, all that, it's really amazing because like, of course there's your touch. Of course, you're the artist and of course there's your touch. But each family has their own I don't know. Is it style? It's
like their
essence?
Vibe. We say essence. That was the word of choice on my website for branding. Mm-hmm. So we say essence, but I'm like not sure. I like the word vibe now too.
Yeah. I mean, some families are not vibey. Some are just like not vibey, but that's their vibe.
It's like the general feeling. So when I photograph you, your family's so fun. You lay on the ground. I'm like above you, straddling you guys. It's a different. Yeah, I mean, it's so fun. And some people just want those like very prim and proper. Like we're gonna pose, we're gonna smile, everyone's gonna smile at the same time, and that's what we're gonna do, and that's what we do, and we have fun with that. And I just kind of, when I meet the family, I try to get to know them in the first couple minutes and go from there. And whatever their kid wants to do, someone was asking me recently, well, how do you get photos of these children who just don't want to do anything? And I was like, well, I just don't push them to do anything that they don't want to do.
Yeah, you're really great with Ness particularly because you have like a relationship, but also because he's kind of squirrely. Like we went on this like whale watching thing, and the photographer was like, what a cute family, let me get some photos. We got the photos back and we look legit insane. He spent a half hour with us on this event, and like I feel terrible that he like, if it's not real, it's not film, but he definitely wasted. Like we look actually crazy.
I bet you don't.
Ness's body is just like flailing about, and we get a lot of good stuff.
But he runs around, right?
He runs around, so you let him.
I let him run. I let him do whatever he wants, or like, I'll ask him, and I ask a lot of the kids who are like very kind of know what they want and speak to me, because not all the kids obviously are of age to be able to speak and give their opinion, but it's like, well, what do you want to do in your solo picture? Where do you want to have it? And I think they really like that and respond to it because each kid has such a different personality.
Yeah.
And maybe, their parents are like, you have to sit on the stairs or whatever. And they're like, I'm going to run. So they just kind of do their own thing and I chase them around or I'm tickling them or, whatever it is that to make them smile. Even the hardest kids will eventually crack, I think, and they'll smile, they'll run around. Once you're like, oh, you want to play with your baby doll? Here's your baby doll. Give them a little while. Eventually that baby doll doesn't feel so important anymore, and you can say, oh, chase dad or chase mom or whatever it is, and they kind of just go for it. And then I have to run too, which
with your monkey,
interesting.
Right?
I do have a monkey on my camera.
So cute.
Which works wonders, really. So many kids like monkeys.
Monkeys are great.
I mean,
they also like bananas. A lot of kids like bananas.
Can I have I should make my own banana.
Make it. Let's do this.
For my camera, that would be kind of cool. I was thinking, like, what could be my signature other than the monkey? Because some kids, like Megan Harper's kids, will come up to me and be like, where's your monkey?
Oh, and well, those kids are like, they like know you well.
Yeah.
And they've photographed with you like a million times.
Yeah. Well, it's so funny because I'll say, to one of them, I'm like, oh, do you remember my name? And they're like, no. And then if I have the monkey on my camera, they're like, oh, we know you.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, oh, man, that monkey is really like way, way good for my career.
It kind of looks like Daniel Tiger, but not Daniel Tiger in the cartoon. Daniel Tiger.
The original?
The Mr. Rogers Daniel Tiger, which is like all gnarly and it's been around the block.
Yeah, they get replaced every once in a while. I don't.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I've only had one monkey snap by a child only once. Okay. So, but it was very traumatic, and I felt very bad for the kid. She's like, kid? She was holding the monkey and just pulled it and ripped it, and it snapped.
You felt bad for the kid because
it was so traumatic. It was so now I have two.
Good for you. You have a heart of gold. How did you end up working with families and children? Like,
that's a good
I
question.
know that you started with magazines and fashion.
I did. So I started doing photography when I was a kid because I was allergic to everything and had asthma. And my parents sent me to a sleepaway camp where everyone was meant to be hiking and running and doing all this stuff. But I was the kid with asthma that was allergic to horses. It was a sleepaway camp with horseback riding.
That's really nice.
Oh my gosh. It was very cool, but I couldn't do like anything. So they sent me to the dark room and they sent me to theater.
Oh, hey.
So those were my things. Yeah. So I was like, okay, I'll do theater. I'll do photography. And I was really little. And then I just continued to do it through college. And this is where I just lose my brain. Okay. So I continued to do it through college. And then I ended up kind of trying to find my way after college because my college professor told me, you're not prepared to be a photographer yet. I think you have to build the confidence first.
Art teachers love that line. Art teachers love to tell you you're not prepared. Meanwhile, you're making art head and shoulders above them.
Well, I mean, he was pretty amazing, but I did see where I had the lack of confidence in myself and in my work. And I was like, you know what? You're right. What else can I do? So I decided to go into magazines because at the time it was kind of a big deal. They were doing really cool stuff.
It's a big deal. But maybe I'm just old.
No. I mean, there is something really special about holding a magazine. But when I started, the magazine I was working for, interning for, they would have a week where they would go on some fabulous vacation as a group thing. That would be a group trip, right?
Casual.
And then by the time I left, it was will we get a mug during the holidays for our gift?
Wow.
I don't know.
Because
it's just a huge, just a huge. It was really actually traumatizing to go through all of those rounds of layoffs and then to eventually get laid off.
What did you do in the magazine world?
I was a photo editor. I worked for titles like Cosmo. Most of my time was spent at People Style Watch, which was, I actually think, still one of the best magazines because it was just a lookbook of stuff to buy based on celebrities, what they were wearing and what makeup they had and all that stuff. So I was a photo editor there, and then I went to Cosmo, and then I did little gigs, freelance gigs at Mary Claire and Self, Elle.com. And then I went to Glamour, and I was at Glamour for 4 years. And it was one of the best experiences I had in magazines. It was a really nice magazine to work for. The content was very much on the same level as how I was feeling, my vibe per se. The team was so sweet, but things changed very quickly. They folded the print edition, which was
I didn't know
so
that,
sad.
actually.
A lot of people don't know.
Well, we don't. You know why we don't know?
Because
we're not buying it.
Oh, yeah. I'm like, nobody talked about it.
If I had got, if I
That's true.
went to buy Glamour magazine,
You'd be like, where's Glamour? But
Right.
probably the person selling it wouldn't know either. They were like, oh, it's out of stock. But yeah.
But they didn't make a big deal of it.
They didn't. And it was in its 100th year, which is still, to me, so sad.
So sad.
Yeah. And so, yes, I was at Glamour until it closed. And then they kept us, which was so weird. They kind of kept us on for a couple months. So during those couple of months, I had already started my photo business because I looked at where things were going. And I said, okay, well, I still have to eat. And I'm not being paid enough. And I wasn't getting, promoted with the money that I needed to be a single person in New York City. And I was like, okay, I have to do something else. And I was waiting for it to kind of come. And I was in the car with one of my friends in Virginia and her husband. And they were saying to me, we just did this family photo shoot. It cost an arm and a leg. Obviously, the photos were gorgeous. It wasn't with me, but their photos were gorgeous. And they were like, it's so expensive.
Right.
And then they both were kind of like,
you could do that.
I think you could do this.
Yeah.
Because my friend was from college and I was a photo major in college. So she's like, why don't you do this? I'd photographed her before. And I was like, that's a really good idea. Like, maybe I should do that. So I reached out to people, including Liz Teisch.
Oh, who's your friend from college, right?
Yeah, she was one of my sorority sisters also.
She's what... hi, listener. She's one of the. She was one of our guests early on in the first season. She did an amazing job.
Yeah, she's fantastic. So I reached out to her and reconnected with her. She was pregnant with Asher at the time, so we did a bunch of photos together.
Yeah. Right, and she's on your logo and a lot of your marketing materials. She's a beautiful model.
She's so great. Yeah, and then quickly it kind of. I also reached out to another sorority sister. It was all through my Syracuse connections.
I'm obsessed with your sorority sisters.
I know.
You guys still hang out in the Hamptons together, I saw.
Yes.
It's very sweet.
We did, yes.
I like that a lot.
It was, that was really fun. It's so fun to be, I've been friends with them for how long? over 10 years? It's crazy.
Yep.
So it really happened. My business started because of those girls. And, in college, I never would have thought that was how I would kind of begin a new career and I don't know, just be successful, I guess, in a way.
And so it wasn't like they wanted you to take photos of them. They were interested in you taking photos of families. That was their pitch?
My friends my friend and her husband were like, you should do this because you're going to make money. So initially it was like, I can make money doing something I actually love. Families specifically.
Family photography. Not like couples, not marketing, not
yet at least. I didn't really know about that part yet. And then so I was like, yes, families. And then I kind of went the route with Liz and this other sorority sister, Cheryl, who was very, very well connected. And I started shooting events. I did 5-minute minis and then I did 15-minute minis. Yeah. So 5-minute minis, I sold 50 5-minute minis. I think I charged $30 each or something. And I met all these families. Right. And the craziest story was the night before that 5-minute mini session, I ended up in the ER until 3 a.m. I had some crazy stomach bug and I was having all these tests to make sure I was okay. And then I do not know how I made it through that next day. It was pure chaos. But it felt like what we were saying before, and you're like, today is a marathon day, but it feels so good. Yeah. And it feels like you're doing the right thing. So it didn't really feel like work, even though I was basically surviving on Gatorade.
Oh my gosh. And you were always very good with children because I just can't even I can get good pictures of my kids, but great photos of all of us, I don't
know where that came from. I was always a portrait photographer. In college, I was an art photo major and I photographed my family a lot. So maybe that's where it came from. I've also photographed my sorority sisters, but
another family.
Yeah, exactly. And just through that, I kind of just found it. And because it was suggested to me that I should try it out and there was a market for it, especially in New York City, I'm like, I can totally do this. And if I'm connected to the right people and I'm like kind of an okay person to want to hang out with for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, maybe 90 minutes, then maybe I could get clients and maybe this could be a thing. And it was a thing. And
it is a thing.
It is a thing.
And you even have a second thing, right?
I do have a second thing. So that came up last year. So once I started kind of filling up and as the years go on, you have to increase your prices, you offer different things, you kind of just make the next steps as you would when I was in magazine life. You're an intern, you become an associate, you're a photo editor, you're a senior photo editor. So this is how I kind of feel like the progress is going. So I'm like the photo director, right? And I have people now under me
cool.
as the associates. And I have now senior and I have junior associates. So I'm trying to hit all those price points and still be profitable. So that's what it's really about. So when I had originally launched the second business called Briar Rose, I was trying to go for a lower rate to take all of the clients who I kind of couldn't keep anymore because they couldn't pay my new rate, but I didn't want to leave behind.
Wow.
So I created this Briar Rose concept through another photographer who mentored me, but she's in Texas and she's, Virginia, which is where my friends were, and saying, she pays her photographers like $50 a session.
Oh, okay.
But in New York,
can't do that.
You can't do that.
Yeah, you can't do that.
So in order to make it profitable and something I'm really proud of, because I was using, retouchers who weren't at the level of the people who I use for, MRP, which is they're amazing. Like their color consulting is just like has been such a savior. I've used them since my glamour days. They used to retouch for me for glamour. So now they retouch for me for my clients. They make my photos like one level better.
Yeah.
And really, really sparkle.
Yeah, that's like what a team does.
Right?
That's like the whole point.
Yeah.
Of a good
So
team.
I want everyone to have that kind of experience and not to be limited to, you have to shoot at Central Park. It's more like, well, you could shoot at Central Park. We could talk about this, so a more elevated experience, much like you would get when you're working with me. Cool. So that was the idea. And that's kind of how I got there from magazine life to building my own thing. And I did get laid off from Glamour after they had us sit for like 4 months, I want to say. It was like, they closed in November. I think I got laid off in February. And I knew it was coming. I mean, I literally knew the morning I got there, I was late per usual because I'm not an early morning person. And
You're not late to sessions though.
I try not to be.
Yeah.
I'm like very close. But in order to get there, I have like 17 alarms set.
Oh, good.
And and I mean, I'm really like crazy about it to try and not be late. But anyway, the point being is I knew the day I was getting laid off and I like stopped at the market. They had in the Oculus in the city, they had this market inside. This was before COVID. And I stopped. I got like fruit. I like paid for someone else's food because I was feeling like I was going to get laid off that day and I needed some really good karma. So I did that and then I moseyed up and I was like immediately laid off. And I was like, okay, well, I knew this was coming. So I already had plan B set up and I went for that. But I will say the confidence issue. I didn't have the confidence to go out on my own for like another 6 to 8 months.
Right.
I was really nervous. I was really scared to leave the direction I had gone for 10 years and say, this isn't for me anymore. I can't do it. So for those people who are scared to make a change, like you really have to go with your gut. And I went right back to freelancing. I literally went right to the knot because my friend Sarah, who was a creative director there, was like, come work for me. Like right now, I need you now. So I went and then I got my first campaign with Similac and I left. And then, I went to one more place before I said, okay, I don't want to make, Instagram stories for someone else. I want to make Instagram stories for me.
And you do a really beautiful job at it. You're the big boss. You are.
So now I can run. I'm like, oh, I have a team now.
Yeah,
it's really,
beautiful.
It's cool. It's a really cool experience to have. And I work with so many working moms, right? Like yourself. And I'm always in awe of how much like shit they can do. And I feel like I can not do that. Like I'm not a mom, right?
Yeah.
In the mom space.
Yeah.
And there's a few of us. There were more, but then they had kids.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm like not a mom in a mom space.
Yeah, like I see you at the mom events.
Right, exactly. So that's how I got to know a lot of people like Megan Harper.
Very sweet. I mean, it's a beautiful community.
Yeah, everyone is so just arms wide open, don't really care if you're a mom or not a mom. I love when if we like go out or something and they're like, Mom's night out, plus Michelle. I'm like, yeah, that sounds right. That sounds right. Yeah. So I've met this like incredible community of people, including yourself, and and also making the connections between people too, and who can help who has been really, really helpful too.
Wow.
To me, I mean to you, like to everybody involved, and I think everyone wants to kind of help each other. So that's really been a special thing that's come out of this. Like, I need to make money. This is a business to make money. I have these like amazing connections with these women now. But I'm definitely, the token not mom.
Well, I think I have to say, though, that, we always talk about how there are many ways to mother. And the fact that you've been nurturing this business and then another is no small thing.
Thank you.
And that you get to, and that you're so good with these kids. I mean, it's really kind of crazy.
Know. Yeah.
I remember you saying, before your dad passed away this year, and I'm so sorry about that. Just that you would take photos of family. Oh, I could cry. Just so you would take photos of family so that they would have the memories.
Yes,
So
I do.
special.
I know you're gonna make me cry. I'm like very emotional. But what it kind of turned into once I realized like this is my passion is creating these forever memories. Right, that's another like branding slogan. These forever memories, because they are. And and what happened for me was before my dad died, I wanted photos. I didn't know he was going to die so soon after, but it was last May, not this May, the May before, and he was in a nursing home, in a wheelchair. We wear sweatpants all day. I decided I wanted one of my associate photographers, Kat, to come and photograph my family. I don't have kids, so we haven't really had the urge to take family photos.
And this is your family.
Right. This is my family. So I decided, and I told my mom, and I explained to her recently why this is such an important story, but she did not want to do it. She's like, this is a pain. I don't want to do it, which I hear from so many people. They're like, I don't want to have to put on nice clothes and put on makeup and do my hair. And I'm like, I get it.
Yeah.
But like, you're going to have these photos forever. So she hemmed and hawed. She got her hair done and she was feeling pretty great. So by the end of the shoot, she was there by herself posing and like dancing around. She had the best time. And my dad was smiling and so happy. And we got these amazing photos of all of us. And I would not trade them for the world. I mean, I spent a lot of money printing them and having them done and all of this stuff. And I felt like they're, especially now, they're priceless. Like I can't get that time back. I can't get those memories back. I won't have my dad back. So, that's the next best thing is to have these photos and some video too, which is really cute. And I have, I'm so glad I took video, even though, my mom was like, we're head to toe in those like blue scrubs at my dad's nursing home with our hair up because of COVID.
Yeah.
And we're in the nursing home and we're playing music and she's dancing with my dad in his wheelchair. And it's like, ugh. But when she realized that I was taking a video, she nearly killed me. But, it's so important to like pick up your camera and take those photos, even if they're like crappy ones of you guys whale watching, because you're going to look back on it and say, these are so bad, but I'm so glad I have them.
Yeah.
So whether it's like
perfect,
yes, you should totally do that. Like whether it's like professional photos or like, personal photos, like just take a picture. if you want to, I would. But and if you don't want to, like, I understand why you don't want to because it's a pain in the butt. But like, really, like, ask a stranger, like, book a shoot or not.
Speaking of like Liz and some of the moms that I've also been like, I don't know if they've like taken me under their wing, but I've been able to like, I don't know, hang out with and whatever. They are so good. These momfluencers, these like mommy bloggers are so good at being like, hey, could you take a picture of me?
Literally.
I am like, oh yeah, sure. Like I never do that. But
like, can you take a video or like do a, and then you can see the like reel coming together like in their head and you're like, how?
Yeah.
So I mean, I borrow from them all the time and they're like vibe on that because they're just not embarrassed to ask, and they always look good somehow. I don't know if I do,
but even with their kids, like I don't, I have like barely any kid pictures of me and my 2 children, and they're like, anyway, I'm inspired by that story. But I wanted to just like give a little bit of airtime for you to talk about your dad and his MS and your journey with your health this year, because I'm pretty sure there are other people who, like myself, are dealing with thyroid conditions. I have since I was 17, so it's like no new thing for me.
Right.
But I just wanted to open up that conversation with you.
Thank you. Yeah. So during the pandemic, right when we went into like lockdown or the pause, whatever it was, I got really sick. I don't know if it was COVID. I don't know what it is, but I had a really nasty virus. And I ended up getting super sick, not just the 6 weeks I was sick, but all of a sudden having these really strange symptoms, including pretty severe asthma for about 6 months.
Which you said that you had since you were a child.
I had since I was a child, but I had not had a flare-up since I was that young. I mean, I'm on medication for it, but I never had a flare-up. This was the first time as an adult that I had asthma. So things like my hair started falling out. I didn't sleep. My heart was racing all the time. I just was super hyper. I lost a lot of weight, but I was trying to. So I just thought I was very, very good at doing that.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, I lost like 10 pounds in a week. Cool,
Right.
But I brought it to my doctor's attention and she basically said, oh, it's the summer. We lose hair in the summer. It's COVID times. You're probably anxious and hyper because of that or whatever. I was very, very anxious. That was another thing that was bothering me. So I just kind of let it go for the whole summer. I developed this like weird tremor in my hand, which is a problem because I'm a photographer. And by the end of summer, by September, when I went to the doctor and I presented these symptoms, she begrudgingly did a blood workup on me. Now, Graves' disease runs in my family. My mom has it. My great aunt had it. My great great aunt had it. Didn't matter that all was very apparent and in my chart. She just felt that I was being anxious. My doctor at the time felt I was being anxious. So did my blood work, called me, said, I am so surprised, but you have a thyroid problem. And I was like, why are you surprised? Like, come on. So I urge anyone who's having weird symptoms to kind of raise their hand and say, no, like there's actually something really wrong here. And I thought I looked great because I had lost all this weight and I had all this energy and I could do all these photo shoots and make up for the pandemic happening and missing like 2 months of work.
I did notice you were very productive.
I was very productive.
I mean, you built a whole other business.
I was like an Energizer Bunny person. I call that my I was superhuman. Like that wasn't a real person. That was like a different person.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I was super worried also because of the autoimmune disorder part, because my dad had a MS or had, I don't know, I guess had MS, and he'd had it my whole life, and it had always been kind of a part of the conversation with him, and that's why he ended up going, to a nursing home to get the proper care he needed. And there was always this part of me, and doctors have said it, if you don't take care of your autoimmune problems, they just get worse and other parts of your body will attack itself. So Graves' disease is basically your body is attacking your thyroid. So it's not just hyperthyroidism.
Mm-hmm.
It's your body is attacking itself. Like with MS, people with MS, their bodies are attacking their brains and the myelin sheath and all of that horribleness. So it's like a pretty crappy disease to have because your body just kind of breaks down. Now they have amazing drugs and treatments for it. When my dad had it, I mean, he had it for 50 years.
Wow.
He couldn't even really be diagnosed because they didn't have the tools to diagnose until later, but he had all of the symptoms. So he had it for so long, they really couldn't help him. But for people and young people now, especially women, there's so many moms that have come forward after I've spoken about my dad, after I've spoken about my thyroid, that have said, hey, I have a thyroid problem. Hey, I have MS even. And they have such a better chance of kind of controlling it, which is really hopeful. But in terms of like thyroid stuff, it's like I tried so hard. It, like I said, it runs in my family. You have to like have this thing. Like there was no way really for me to get it under control without medication and I tried without medication, but I was already on heart meds because my heart rate was so high.
Oh my God.
So like I needed like my thyroid levels were 5 times the normal limit. So it's not like this had just been happening for the summer. Like it had been kind of building, it seems. So regardless, the thyroid issue, especially with women, it really affects fertility.
Yeah, I was considered high risk.
Right.
So what's funny is on my chart, I was considered high risk for both pregnancies, but I was fine. I was totally fine. And the babies were fine.
That's amazing to hear, and it's so hopeful, actually.
Yeah. I mean, I had a miscarriage very early on. I don't even know if I was 6 weeks pregnant, and
so sorry.
There was it really was okay, and thank you, but it really was okay at the time, and I think that might have been part of the issue because the thyroid really affects the whole endocrine system.
It's crazy.
Hormones.
Yeah. So hormonal, everything, the hair loss that I was talking about before, that's hormonal. And it's the same hair loss as when a woman stops breastfeeding. So that's how my doctor that's how my doctor explained it to me, that it's a 3-month cycle, that you lose all this hair and then it's supposed to come back. And most of it did.
Yeah.
And I still use like a Harclinican, which helped Ricky Lake get her hair back. But there was like a spot.
Ricky Lake needed her hair back?
All of her hair fell out.
I'm so sorry, Ricky.
She used Harclinican and it all came back. And it looks gorgeous.
Great.
Yeah. So I was using it because I was getting some bald spots in the back and I was really upset about it. Especially because I'm photographed a lot from the back while I'm working. And I'm like, oh my gosh, there's these like spots you can see. But regardless.
I remember last summer when you were photographing us, you mentioned it.
Yeah. I mean, I was so sensitive about it, and everyone was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. But that part is really scary, the hormonal issues. And it also has to do with weight. So my weight fluctuates constantly. Right now I'm like in a upper weight
swing
range. Yes. And I'm hoping, if they change my medication, that maybe it will help, or I just need to change my own habits, because now I had my thyroid removed about 2 months ago because I just couldn't get it under control with medication. I couldn't get it under control with really, anything I was doing. Some people are like, don't eat gluten, don't have dairy, don't be stressed out. I'm like, I'm a business owner. Like, I can try the gluten and dairy thing, but how do I not be stressed, like, as a human?
Yeah.
Especially when my thyroid being out of control gives me anxiety. Yeah. So it just wasn't going to happen the natural way.
Yeah.
All of my family members who have Graves' disease had their thyroids removed.
Right. Including
my mom. She had they did the iodine. So you can like drink the iodine and it kills your thyroid. Wow. But you can't be near anyone during that time.
Why?
So because you're radioactive. So my mom, so my mom had to do that when I was born. Her thyroid, she got Graves' disease from when I was born.
My mom got hypothyroidism when I was born,
like
and then I had hypothyroidism
from
when I was 17. I got hypothyroidism.
Oh,
that's what I have. I don't have an autoimmune disease. I don't have the markers for autoimmune, but hypothyroidism. But that happens.
So if she had it while she was pregnant, she could have just given it to you,
or vice versa.
Right. So that's what. So with my mom, I mean, it took a while for it to come out.
Right.
But eventually it did. And my poor mom, so she did the treatment and she couldn't touch me, and she had to stop breastfeeding when I was a newborn.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Yeah, so
that early on in your life.
Yeah. So she couldn't come near me. So I decided I didn't want the radioactive iodine because I wouldn't be able to go near children for a while. You can't be near your pets. You basically have to go like live in a hotel.
For how long?
Well, when my mom had it, it was like I was told 2 weeks. But then some people said 4 days, 5 days, I don't know. So I didn't go through that part because I didn't want to take so much time off from work. So I kind of, I know. So I kind of just fit it in. All right. Yeah. Like I just fit it in and I just did it before the summer. And I'm so glad I did because because now I can I take the medication. Yes, it's something I take every day.
Is it Armour Thyroid or Synthroid?
It's like, I'm going to remember it. It's Synthroid. Sorry.
Yeah, that I've been on levothyroxine forever.
Yes, exactly.
But which is Synthroid.
That's exactly what I take. Yeah. So
me and you,
I know,
and you and me.
Exactly. It's just it. So and getting that dose right is the problem. So people,
but always that's like always going to be
right.
Like you just have to check it every 3 or so months.
Exactly. Always. So and for right now, it's like every 4 to 6 weeks.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you're living in a whole new body.
I'm like new. So that's what it is. It's like I have to teach myself how to like eat again. I have to teach myself like what is good for my body, what my body doesn't like, how to lose weight, gain weight. I feel like I'm working out and eating right, but nothing's happening and or I'm gaining weight. I'm like, how is this possible?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, because of this like little thing that I had removed from my body.
From your body,
like literally in a 4-hour surgery.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a big choice to make, but I also wanted to make it, and I had mentioned this to you, for fertility reasons. And at the time when I first got diagnosed, I was like, I need to freeze my eggs. And they're like, no, you cannot freeze your eggs until
your body's
normal.
in the middle of something.
And now that I've kind of gone through this whole hormonal shift, which I'm sure you feel all the time, I don't really want to do anything to my body to mess with my hormones.
Right. Yeah. That's why I've never really been on birth control.
I can't be on birth control.
And like
I'm so sensitive.
I also have polycystic ovaries, but like,
oh my goodness,
for whatever reason, I just like never wanted to take medicine. I guess because I take 2 medications for my thyroid, and
you're like, I'm done.
It's like I'm done.
That's
I'm
enough.
Okay.
That's enough. If you have symptoms and pain and stuff, like I would assume you'd want to do something, but that also didn't prevent you from getting pregnant.
No, and I think the point is like, I'm okay and it's okay.
Yeah.
And medicine is miraculous.
I agree.
Like
I can't avoid it anymore. I mean, there's no way for me to. I like have to live with it now.
Yeah, well, with taking medicine, but also like I know that your doctor didn't take you as seriously as you wanted in the beginning, but they're good. It's good. It's okay. There are ways, like you said about MS, like there are ways to live with these conditions that you can still have a fulfilling, beautiful life.
Yeah. No, I agree.
And children. You can still have children.
Yes. No, it was always really important to me that I wanted kids always.
You're so good with them.
I get along with kids well.
Yeah.
And so I'm still hesitant, and I've been listening, to your podcast and listening to people talking about the procedure where they like check your eggs.
Yeah, they check, yeah.
Which I think I need to do now.
Why not?
Because before I just go and freeze them and pay like, I don't know, 10 G's to like do all of this and put my body through whatever it's going to be put through and the hormones and messing with my thyroid potentially.
Well, you don't have a thyroid to mess with. So
that's true. I'm like really like I don't even. I guess it's really the dose. Like I don't want to have to change my medication dose. So someone told me, who had the surgery that I had, which by the way, for anyone who's considering it, if it's something you need to do or you want to do to make your life easier, it's really not as bad as I thought it was.
Like I think painful? It's not as painful?
No, it wasn't as painful at all. I woke up from surgery and I literally, my throat hurt so bad, but it wasn't because of my incision. It was because you're intubated for 4 hours.
Right.
So once that died down, I mean, I took 1/2 pill of Oxy, one. in recovery. They ended up keeping me overnight at the hospital because I am very sensitive, and the anesthesia really just knocked me on my butt. Like I couldn't function. So I decided with the doctor. Well, the doctor told me like I basically need to say I couldn't walk well, like I couldn't swallow. You're
not for drugs.
No, I'm not.
You're not one for drugs.
So I had a half pill of Oxy when I first got to my room at the hospital because I'd never stayed overnight at the hospital, and I was like, I think I need something. So he gave me that, and I passed out. I just slept like a baby, and I felt so good, and I literally did not need anything like that for pain, for anything.
I'm so glad.
I took Tylenol.
I'm so glad.
I think the hardest part is really getting that dose regulated after.
I'm not a doctor. Shocking.
You're not.
I know. But just a heads up that's just like, it's an always thing.
Yeah.
Because like the wind blows in some way and you're like, it's
like,
changes.
We need to shift it.
Or you get a year older and things change and having babies and it's just a always sort of thing.
Right. No, I totally and just
so it's not like you've arrived.
Yes.
You've arrived for now and it's good for now and you'll keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
But it's really like I have to be really mindful of like the changes in my body in a way that maybe other people don't. I don't know, but
no, I think
I have to like
you're
call
attuned to it too, right?
Yeah.
You have to kind of be attuned, and you're like, hey, I'm feeling a little like anxious, overly anxious for no reason, or for me that's a thing, that I have to be like really careful of, or if my like tremor comes back or whatever, my hair starts falling out again or my heart's super fast. Like I let them know and we kind of rejigger the dose number.
Well, you'll have telltale signs.
Yes, exactly.
And long periods and then longer more of being totally okay and forgetting about it. Most of my life I forget that I take medicine every morning and I don't usually forget to take it, but the fact that I have any sort of issue at all is like not top of mind.
Right. No, well, I'm so glad to hear that because I definitely am very inspired by that and that you had normal pregnancies because, I'm very mom curious and and a lot of my clients have come forward and told me that they've had trouble getting pregnant. So when I hear, who have thyroid issues. So when I hear something like that, it makes me feel so much better.
I really didn't.
Okay.
Yeah. But if you do, the good news is that I'm so glad you're listening.
Yes, I'm listening to it all.
That there are a lot of options.
Exactly.
We have a lot of options.
Especially now. So I think this is kind of happening at the right time instead of when I was much younger and didn't really know how to handle that stuff. And I've been involved with so many moms to kind of guide the way. I like take notes on my Instagram. Yeah. When people give tips and stuff, I'm like, I'm going to need to know this one day. Like, I really hope that I will be a mom at some point, and at least I'll have the confidence to be able to reach out to the people I need to and say, hey, I know you've gone through this already. Yeah. What's your advice?
Yeah, because it really is all about a village and a support system.
Totally.
How do we get in touch with you to take our photos?
Oh, my goodness.
Just maybe there are people out there who want to talk thyroid.
Oh
with
my
you.
Gosh, I would be happy to because I really Googled pretty hard right the night before I had surgery and found a couple people and reached out to them.
That's great.
Yes. And one is like a New York mom. So it's nice to have someone you can reach out to. So you can find me on Instagram at Michelle Rose Photo, and my website's michellerosephoto.com, which is kind of easy, and I don't make you spell my actual last name. And I mean my Gmail. I mean it's on there.
It's all on there.
You can DM me. I do check my DMs, and I'm happy to chat anytime.
I'm so glad. Did we miss anything? Are there any parting words?
I don't think so. I feel like just you want to capture those memories, whether it's on your iPhone or hiring a pro, because you don't want to lose a memory. I feel like it's really important.
Yeah, I agree. I'm so glad I have those memories that you took of us.
Yeah, no, I look at them all the time too. I mean, I know it's weird, but I look through old photos all the time to see what I want to put on Instagram. And I can remember photo shoots very vividly. There's so much stuff I can't remember, but I can remember that.
So beautiful. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so good seeing you.
I hope you feel good and
Thank
well.
you. You too.